Welcome to the Wyoming Women's Business Center's 2021 webinar series. Today's presentation is Ready to Start a Business? I'm Christine Langley with the Wyoming Women's Business Center, and I'm going to be your speaker tonight. You'll notice the Zoom webinar bar on the bottom of your screen, and I just want to call attention to the chat and the questions panel. If you have any questions during the webinar today, I'd like you to use that to communicate with me. Now, immediately following this presentation, we're going to launch a survey, and I ask you to just stay on the line for a few extra minutes to complete the survey because it provides us and our funding partners with valuable information. So everybody on the call is muted tonight to minimize background noise. So once again, if you have any questions during this, just type them into the questions panel and I'll get to those at the end. We're going to get started tonight with some quick information about the WWBC, and then we'll dive into our topic and we'll finish up with a Q&A. So this is a 30-minute format. I appreciate everybody joining us tonight. This is being recorded and it's going to be available on our YouTube channel. You can go to youtube.com and search for the Wyoming Women's Business Center, subscribe to our channel, check out any of the other business education content that we've provided over the last several years. Our content is always free. So for those of you that aren't familiar with us, the Women's Business Center is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to enable and empower Wyoming entrepreneurs. And of course, we have a special emphasis on women who are both economically or socially disadvantaged. So we do our work through three distinct programs. The first is our business counseling and training program. Tonight's webinar is an example of that. That's always free. The second is our microloan program, and we offer loans anywhere from as low as $500 up to $50,000. And that's for businesses that have been denied from a traditional lending source. And then the third is the Artist Development Center. And we run that in conjunction with our Works of Wyoming retail store that's located in downtown Laramie. But what I always want to get across to people is that what we do at WWBC is we specialize in micro enterprises. So what's a micro enterprise? Well, it's a business that even at its height, it has less than 6 employees. And really the majority of those businesses are 1 or 2 person businesses. They're businesses that we're able to actually launch for under $35,000. So businesses like yoga studios and hairstylists, in-home daycare providers, marketing consultants, cleaning services, right? These are examples of some of our clients. Okay, so if you're interested in becoming a Wyoming Women's Business Center client and getting access to even additional materials and also one-on-one counseling, you can become a WWBC client by going to wyomingwomen.org, and on our homepage, you'll see a red button that says sign up now. It's always free, it's a simple process, and it just gives you access to even more resources for business owners. All right, so let's jump into our topic today on starting a business. And I just want to understand who I have on the line with us tonight. So I'm going to launch a quick poll. And I'd like to know, what stage of business development are you in? Are you in idea formation, kind of trying to figure out, thinking of the possibilities? Are you in the business planning stage where you've selected or narrowed in on an idea and you're working towards writing a business plan? Have you already launched, right? Are you an early startup, recently launched and open for business less than 6 months? Or are you in the startup phase, meaning you've been in business for less than 2 years? So just give me a sense of where you're at in the process. All right, terrific. Thanks so much, everybody. Well, it would make sense that most of the people on this webinar tonight would be in the idea formation or business planning stage. And so what I'm going to do today is really walk you through the steps that we recommend you complete prior to a business launch. Now, does this mean if you didn't or you don't complete every single one of these steps that you're destined to fail? No, right? It does mean that you might encounter some issues or some problems that could have been avoided otherwise. And so while these steps may feel a little overwhelming in some cases and maybe not very much fun in the beginning, I assure you that there is help and guidance and support every step of the way, especially here at the Women's Business Center. So try not to get overwhelmed because we can take this one step at a time and do it together. So today is really just about understanding the steps that are involved. And then when you feel ready to jump in, I can explain how we can help. Okay, for those of you that are in the idea formation stage, the very first step we recommend is what we call market research. Now, don't let that term scare you. It's really just business speak for investigating your business idea. And a whole bunch of this you've probably already done naturally. So, for example, if you're interested in opening, say, an in home daycare, it may be because you or someone you know looked for a daycare option and you couldn't find one. And that meant that it sort of appears there's a demand that's not being filled, right? At least by you. So that recognition is part of market research. Now, there's some questions that you're going to want to answer to ensure that your business idea is a viable one. And those questions include determining what the demand is in your area or market, what the market size is, and that means how many customers are even possible. Are there any economic indicators for this business? An example would be if there's a major employer in your area that's looking to hire hundreds of workers, or that is going to be increasing the need for your business idea. Next is to investigate locations for your business and the details around setting up. And then finally, you're going to want to understand how saturated your market is with the same types of businesses. And that can help you understand, again, if your idea is even viable, right? If you want to open up a car wash, but there's already 14 car washes in your community, that may not be overly viable, right? You may be maxed out as far as competition in your area. So all of that information is going to dove nicely into determining pricing for your business, which can also be based on both your costs and what the market is willing to pay. So all of that is included in market research, and we always recommend you start there. Now, after you've done much of your market research, which is really an ongoing process, even after you launch your business, because understanding your market conditions never ends and it's constantly changing. But once you're past the majority of your market research, you can dive into completing a competitive analysis. So a lot of the information that you gathered in market research is going to help you complete a SWOT analysis on both your business and your competitors. All right, so what is a SWOT? Well, it's really just a listing of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And it's really important that you spend some time analyzing these questions and really thinking about the reality of your business idea. So I have a lot of clients that get really excited about marketing their business, and they want to jump right into things like buying shirts and hats and setting up social media accounts and websites. But I always want to caution you about putting the cart before the horse. So your market research and the competitive analysis that you're going to do will help you determine the viability of your idea before you start sinking money and a substantial amount of time into your business. And definitely before you start taking any major risks, like, say, quitting your day job, right? So I always say, help me help you, and really commit to doing this initial work before you commit to a business launch. All right, so let's assume you did that work and you're convinced that your business idea is viable and you're ready to start planning your own business launch. The next key step is to write your business plan. And if you're like most of my clients, this is the part where you roll your eyes and let out a big sigh, because no one I have ever worked with gets excited about sitting down and writing a business plan. And what I found is it's because business plans can feel like an academic assignment. And most people don't want to go back to school, right? Especially entrepreneurs. We want to start a business. So here's my suggestion when it comes to writing a business plan. I want you to try and think of it like a map. It's really your directions to success. And so I'm not even a big fan of writing an academic business plan, which is traditionally like a 40-page document with lots of graphs and charts. And the reason is because I deal with micro enterprises. So these are businesses that at their very height, again, have less than 6 employees. They can launch for under $35,000. They're not going for venture capital or angel investors, right? Often they're starting the business from their own resources or from friends and family money. So for those businesses, what I think is most important is really a boots on the ground business plan. And what I mean by that is I want to plan on how you're actually going to pull this off. an action step plan, step by step. What are you doing first? What are you doing second in order to lead you to profitability and success? And so for that kind of plan, what we're really doing is just answering a series of questions. And so at the Wyoming Women's Business Center, I recommend that clients attend our DreamBuilder online program. It's an online course that you can watch on your schedule, and it has an embedded business plan tool. So you're going to educate yourself on business planning, and then you're just going to simply answer the questions. And the answers to your questions are going to get stored inside that online business plan tool. And at the end of the course, you hit a button and voila, all those answers are going to automatically get formulated into an organized business plan format. And it even comes with a table of contents. So I facilitate that program to help answer your questions along the way and try to keep you motivated so that you don't get stuck. And so if you're interested in attending one of our facilitated, courses, you can keep an eye out on our training page to see when my next one is. But I also recorded the last facilitated session that I did that started on September 7th. So if you go to our YouTube channel and you want to sign up for our DreamBuilder course, your step one is to become a WWBC client. That'll give you access to all of our educational courses and resources. Then you can register with DreamBuilder and really go at your own pace. But if you want to follow the facilitated guideline, which will get you through the whole program in 6 weeks, then you can just watch my YouTube recordings 1 week at a time. And they're all sectioned out, week 1, week 2, week 3. Right now, I'm facilitating a course that is translated into Spanish. And so you have the option of taking DreamBuilder in English or Spanish. And so if you want to follow along with the facilitated program in Spanish, you can do that. Right now I'm in week 2. And that course is actually going to go on for 8 weeks total. But again, my other one was 6 weeks. That was only done in English. It started on September 7th. All 6 weeks are recorded and on our YouTube channel. So definitely encourage you to take a look at that. This is the 6-week course outline that I followed. So you can see that we did 2 or 3 modules each week. And I recommend that you set aside anywhere between 3 and 4 hours a week in order to complete it within a 6-week period. Again, if you don't have quite that much time, then you may want to elongate it out to 8 weeks. But this is a lockstep program and you can take it at your own pace. So if you just want to complete 1 module each week, and have it take you 12 or 13 weeks, you're welcome to do that. It's really dependent on your schedule and the pace that you want to operate. But I highly recommend that you consider taking this DreamBuilder course because it's going to ask you all of the important questions that you need to be asking yourself before you get into business. All right, so after you have a well-developed business plan, then typically it's going to include a calculation of your startup costs. But it's always a good idea to review those startup costs again so that you have a full financial picture. And depending on the length of time that passes between writing your business plan and actually launching your business, pricing and costs can change. So I always recommend that you view your business plan as like a living, breathing document because you're never really done with it. It's a continuing process and it's a continuing plan for success that should help guide you and then also remind you of what your original intention was. One of the things that I always mention to a lot of my clients is that entrepreneurs often suffer from a syndrome that I call bright, shiny thing syndrome, right? We have an idea like every 5 minutes. Some of us have an idea every 5 seconds. And we get into this loop where we're constantly in idea formation stage instead of an execution stage where we pick an idea and then carry it all the way to fruition. And launch with that business or launch with that particular idea. And so having a business plan helps you narrow your focus to specifically what you want to do first in your business. And then you can think about what your 10-year expansion plan is at a separate time. All right, once you're clear on your startup costs and really your first year financials, then it's time to think about funding your business. And I have a whole bunch of clients that are just convinced that they need to have the funding lined up first, right? They always think I have to have all the money that is going to be required to launch my business or else it's not going to be worth it for me to write my business plan. Because, of course, in their mind, why take the time to write a business plan if they don't have the money to start the business? And I totally get that. But here's how I want you to think about it. You'd never tell your 5-year-old not to go to school because you don't have the money to send them to college right now, right? They go to school because no matter if they go to college or not, education is going to be helpful in their life. And when it comes to funding your business, you don't want to start with the funding in mind because it actually limits, or sometimes it expands your thinking unnecessarily. So you want to start with a well-researched, viable business plan. And from there, you'll determine what funding is required to be successful. Rather than starting with this dollar amount, say you have $10,000 in a savings account, and then you're trying to force the success of this business into that number. That's actually a great recipe for failure. Okay, so your business plan and your financials are going to dictate the funding that you require to launch your business. And then it's your job to go find that funding. If you can't find it all from your own resources, then it's time to understand what are the other options for funding a small business. And so I recommend that you check out another webinar that I host on a monthly basis, and it's been recorded and it's on our YouTube channel. It's called 7 Options for Funding a Small Business. And you can attend it live. Again, I do it every single month, or you can check out the recording on YouTube at your convenience. And it goes over the 7 different options there are out there to fund your business, and kind of the pros and cons of each, and the viability or likelihood of each. All right, if you have your plan and your funding is secured, now it's time to actually launch that business. And that's really where the real fun begins. So remember, we're here to help you every step of the way. And we work with existing micro enterprises to help them sustain their business and grow their business, because making it past your 2nd year in business is actually where the real magic starts to happen. Statistically, only 50% of all businesses make it to that point. And so we're here to try and help change those odds for you. And so I encourage you to seek out all the assistance and support that you can get. Wyoming is really full of resources and people that want to support your dream. And all it requires is that you participate. And so again, I encourage you to reach out to us or other economic developers in the state, talk about your business idea, get feedback, start developing that business plan, do the homework so that you're prepared to launch. All right, guys, I've left a few minutes for questions. Go ahead and type into the Q&A or the chat panel if you have any questions for me this evening. And while I am waiting, I will just cover a little bit of information about our funding partners. So the Wyoming Women's Business Center is made possible through several partnership agencies, but our primary funding comes from the U.S. Small Business Administration. And then that grant, it's a federal grant, is actually matched by a state grant that's provided by the Wyoming Business Council. So we're really thankful for the support and guidance of all of our partners. And of course, we always look forward to the work ahead. So this is an example of trainings that we hold on a monthly basis. We've got a great schedule coming up in November. So I encourage you to go to wyomingwomen.org and click on the training tab, and you can register for any of our upcoming webinars. You can also join our newsletter list and make sure that you get all of the notices for the upcoming webinars too. All right, doesn't look like we have any questions tonight. I have a tendency to be thorough, so thank you everybody for attending. And I'm just going to ask you to stay on the line for an extra couple minutes and complete this survey. It does help us, and we read every single one. Have a great night, everybody.